Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming tonight. We have the pleasure of hearing from our very own resident, H.D. Hoover, and he is going to be talking about the senior college and all about it, how to get signed up, all the stuff that he teaches. So please help me welcome H.D. Hoover.
Thank you. Well, there's the information about how to get signed up. I think probably many of you know that today, many of you would have gotten an email that then indicates that also has a PDF of all the courses, the instructors, descriptions of the courses. And if you didn't get that and want to get it, just go to foriowa.org/senior-college, and it'll get you right there. And then next Monday will be the opening of registration. And there are a couple of courses I'll warn you about that if you want to make sure you get in, you probably better do it pretty quickly. So anyway, without going any further, the first thing though I want to do here is really give credit to the reason we have a senior college, and it's primarily one person, and that person's sitting right back here, Al Hood. Since I knew that I couldn't take up an hour just talking about the courses we're getting ready to have and the ones we're planning in the future, which I will get to toward the end, what I'm primarily going to do is just talk a little bit about the history of the senior college, how it came to be, and to begin that, and this is the primary Al part. I hope you'll forgive me, but I'm just going to read a little bit here that I want to make sure I get right since Al is here, and I don't want him ripping me here in front of everybody. Okay. In the late 1980s, Al Hood was a member of the University Aging Studies program that submitted a proposal for funding to a St. Louis-based foundation to develop a set of programs for aging citizens in the area, which included a proposal by Al that would have paid retired U of I professors to teach brief academic courses to senior citizens. However, that grant went to another institution. Al didn't give up. In the 1990s, he met with the board of the University of Iowa Retirees Association and presented his idea, but the board was not interested. A number of members of the UIRA board were involved in Iowa City's new senior center and thought such a program should originate there. A couple of years later, after his retirement in 2001, Al, who was newly elected to the Emeritus Faculty Council, found that that body had been exploring such a concept, at least Sam Becker had, and had approached the Alumni Association for support. However, the other members of the EFC didn't show much interest, and Sam made a motion that the EFC quit in its effort to do so. However, Al indicated he was still interested in pursuing the idea, and the EFC committee encouraged him to do so with their blessing. Al set up a meeting with interested folks he rounded up, and the following decisions were made. Al would explore the previous offer of support with the Alumni Association. 2, it would begin by offering 5 or 6 courses each semester, meeting 5 to 8 times. Cost would be minimal, perhaps $25, and faculty would be paid $100 to $500 to offer the course. The program would be named the Senior College. Now, at the time, for emeritus faculty, parking on campus, or for the committee actually, because in a minute you'll see it wasn't all just emeritus faculty, parking on campus was not convenient for the committee, so the decision was made to meet instead in members' homes, which, by the way, we did for a number of years. I've been on the committee, I think, for 11 years now, and about the first 5 years, we would go to somebody's house, this committee, have coffee, and I actually miss those. I really do. Then we started meeting out at one of the banks, and then COVID hit. And now you know how we all meet every time, which I sort of find boring, but that's the way it goes. I sort of like to see people more than just a little picture of them. So anyway, we had another problem that we needed a procedure needed to be worked out regarding paying the honoraria, which by then the committee had decided would be $500 to the instructors and other non-alumni expenses at the alumni office, but the alumni office could not do this. Al learned that the foundation was a university organization that could do this, but only if the senior college had an official connection with the university. He then made the pitch that since the Emeritus Faculty Council was one of the sponsors of the senior college, and the Emeritus Faculty Council was sponsored by the University Provost's office, that gave it enough of an official connection so that it eventually did receive the status of an organization with official university affiliation, and it was from the University Comptroller's office. This enabled the senior college to establish an endowment fund with the University Foundation to handle the dispersal of senior college funds. The alumni office kept enough of the registration funds to cover the design, printing, and mailing of the brochures, and sent the remainder to the foundation. And sort of after that, sort of the rest is history. And but it was really, face it, obviously, he worked on this for like 10 years to get it done. And so this was really, really critical. And actually one of the things that's happened since where, you know, and I'm going to talk about some of the little issues, actually the switch at the University Foundation to turn it into the Center for Advancement and sort of bury the Alumni Association, it actually caused us on the committee some trouble. A lot of people then started saying, well, God, all you people are doing, you're just shills for the foundation trying to raise money. And that's really true. Many people brought this up. And so we've done our best to sort of alleviate that problem. And frankly, we really have a good relationship now with the Center for Advancement. And they've really done great stuff for us. And we're still housed within what they call alumni engagement within the organization. Okay. Here's the founding committee. You'll recognize a number of those names. One thing I hope you see, and I know you know plenty of these people, a number of them are sitting here in the room. This committee was made up, at the time, half faculty and half staff. We've done our best to retain that. It's incredibly important. I think a lot of us college professors get a little insular in our thinking and everything else, and also maybe too sure of ourselves sometimes. And a lot of the people that were staff people, I think, learned to deal with those kind of situations pretty well. And also, you'll notice there are some in this early committee. I think this is the people Al could just he'd been with them over in East Hall, and then were people that I think he could probably strong arm into doing these things. And but it is an interesting committee. It was a little heavy. It is a little heavy on people that had affiliations with the College of Education or continuing education. But people like, let's see, I've got this down here. Hermione McLaren was the founder of the Aging Studies program at the University of Iowa, who obviously would be someone that would be really important at this time. And like Gene Kendall was the head of the IMU. So a different mixture here of both faculty and staff. And then I'm going to talk a little bit now about, again, some additional Oaknola residents that have been part of all this. Whoops, I'm sorry, I jumped too soon. This is actually the first year course offerings. This was in spring and fall of 2002. And again, you'll recognize, I hope, a number of those names, some pretty impressive ones. Don Garnett, who had been a neighbor of mine, I had been begging him for the last 10 years to teach again. And he had books, he kept doing all this stuff. And but he was about, I think, to give in. And sadly, we lost Don, who I think, of course, was one of the superstars of the University of Iowa. But again, it was, as you can see, the courses, again, was really a mixture of different things. And by the way, all of our courses, even ones that you look at and say that isn't, all of our courses are pretty academic. I mean, even those of you who've taken the football course, it's academic. And I think that's actually one of the big successes, the reasons we've had the success we have, is because if you want to learn something at our age, you want to learn it from somebody who really knows something and is used to presenting it. And so that, I think, has been really one of the most important things that we stressed. And it's why many of the people who teach for us then, I think, feel very comfortable in coming in, teaching a group of people that, by the way, having taught myself in this, you pretty quickly find out that it's about the best students you'll ever have. I'm serious. The most enjoyable at least. So anyway, that aspect of it. Now, a little bit here about Oak Knoll. Okay, these are residents. Most of you probably recognize nearly all their names here at Oak Knoll, who have had service on the senior college committee, and you can see how many have chaired that committee. And in fact, until I was replaced a year and a half ago by Emil Rindersbacher, every single chair of the committee had been an Oak Knoll resident. And in addition, Judy Hendershot was the original treasurer and was still the treasurer when I came on the committee. And of course, would always talk about how she was using these funds to spend every January in Hawaii. But anyhow, that's, I think, a pretty proud group of things to say about, I guess, what do we call this? An active, lifelong learning community. Well, I think we can justly say that we are. And here are residents of this place that have been instructors. Now, by the way, I may have missed some. You know, I've only been here at Oak Knoll about, I know you'll correct me, Judy.
Yeah, I'm taking notes.
Oh, you're taking notes. You know, I think I knew that. Tom, I know. In fact, Tom and I were on the Mayor's Faculty Council together. Yeah. And so thank you. Anybody else that recognizes someone that's an instructor, that's an Oak Knoll resident, I appreciate, because, you know, I'm going to share this with the committee, although this is obviously very much focused toward Oak Knoll, but it'll have information that the committee itself, I think, will appreciate. And as you can see, this is a really pretty interesting group of people. I do want to point out one person on here that's here, Miriam Gilbert, who's sitting back here. Miriam is one of what, those of us on the committee have a few people face it who teach for us, and I'll mention some of them later, who we sort of call them stars. And it's because people want to take their courses. They also tend to have very large enrollments, which brings us money. And we're fine financial shape, so you don't have to worry about it. And I'm glad, though, that Judy isn't the treasurer anymore. She really would be tempted to be head office. But anyway, Miriam actually, except for the fact that we had to cancel one semester by COVID, which I'll mention later, would have taught 17 consecutive years since 2004. And by the way, we'll be teaching this spring again, which many of you know. Actually, she didn't have, because of COVID, she didn't have the longest string, but it wasn't a person. Until COVID, the International Writing Program were 17 consecutive years up until COVID. And of course, that's a great example of one of the kinds of courses that we just really couldn't offer once COVID hit. However, they are going to be back this fall. And so that's one that's always been a favorite. A lot of people like, we end up having there usually 8 people from all over the world that are always fascinating to listen to. And not only do they spend time with their writings and what they're into, but they also then usually give us some pretty fresh insights into what's happening politically where they're from. And they literally are from all over the world in some of the places where there's a lot of conflict, and it's amazing how open they are with what's going on. I'm always sort of shocked. I'm afraid that they'll, somebody will come after them. Then, here's a little summary of the last 6 years so you can just get an idea of the number of courses each semester, how many people were registered both in the spring and the fall, and sort of on the average how many we'd have in each class. And of course you'll notice there the one spot there, we had to cancel this semester because of COVID. We actually got started and had 3 courses completed, and actually I was in charge of the 4th one, and we lasted 1 week, and then had to cancel the rest of the semester. But after that, then if we sort of go on, whoops, shoot, I always do this when I use the damn things. After this then, you can see in the fall that we then got back at it. Now, look at the semester before though. We'd had the 3 falls before, 10, 11, and 12 courses. We had pretty much decided right at that time, that was sort of an ideal number of courses, was to have 12. And in fact, this spring, we have 12 again. But it's taken us a while to do that, and part of the reason is, first of all, especially at the beginning, these, you see 7 here and then 6 here the next fall, those all were Zoom. And a lot of our instructors at the time did not want to teach Zoom. People that we'd already made arrangements to teach, and they just didn't want to. We still have people who don't want to, who prefer to teach in person, and we were going back into that. Now, one thing that did happen there, we really got some pretty high average enrollments in some of these courses then all at once, because one of the problems we always had, and still have with courses that are in person, is actually finding rooms. And of course, up until Zoom, when we started Zooming courses, many of you know, all our courses would just fill up. I mean, we were turning away lots of people because we didn't have space. And now then, once we started having Zoom, and all at once we have these courses, that are, running well over 100. Now, before then, we'd already picked up, like Miriam for a number of years taught out at, I've blocked on the church's name. Parkview. At Parkview Church, where the people were wonderful there in helping us. And so that ended up a place where we had a number of large enrollment courses, and of course it had the wonderful thing that there was parking there too. And on campus, there just aren't very many courses in many places that are that big, that are easily accessible, and for a number of reasons. So anyway, I sort of wanted you to see a little bit about this, and then what happened. Okay, these first two, in fall of 20 and 21, and in the spring of 21, okay, those were all Zoom. Then we started in the spring of fall 2021. Okay, we had is that right? I think I wrote something down wrong here. No, I guess not. I've just got 6 Zoom. I have 2 in person. That doesn't make any sense. I made a mistake, of course. It's over there. Oh, I see. Oh, there it is. Fall. Jesus, I forgot. I mixed up fall and spring. I apologize. So I was right. In the fall of 21, we had 8 courses. 6 of those then were Zoom, and 2 were in person. And then by in spring of 22, then we had 6 Zoom, 3 in person, and then what else here? And then in the fall of 2022, where we have those 9 courses, I'm sorry, we have 4 Zoom, 3 in person, and 2 hybrid. I goofed it. Yeah, I know. I got it. See, when I made that slide, I did it in the other order. And the whole reason was I am so inept at these things that it's the only way I could just put 2022 out here, 2021, because you do it the other way, then it gets in this academic year stuff. And so in trying to make it better, I made it worse. Not the first time. Now, another thing I want to point out here, you can see the size of those enrollments. Each semester, about 60 to 75% of the people that enroll are unique individuals. Now, we have lots of people that would take more than one course, but we do have every time. So what this means is, through here, every year, we are enrolling like 1,000 unique individuals or more. And so it's, and that keeps changing all the time. And of course, one thing, as we then have had these courses in Zoom, we're now getting people from all over the country. Not a large number, but significant number. And the big issue there is actually then people knowing it's here. We would have more. And we are continually going back and forth with the Center for Advancement or the alumni, the ways in which we better can connect with those people. And really, they're not set up very well to do this other than going after, and they don't want to send out thousands of notices on this. So anyway, I don't know. Maybe we will end up solving the problem someday. So anyway, so there's the total number of different courses, different instructors, and enrollees. So in these first 21 years, we've had 388 different courses. Different instructors, 209. So obviously, we have instructors that teach for us more than have taught for us a number of times, and very well, obviously, 17 or something like that, but still, that's a lot of different people. And probably this is sort of a guess, because I don't have good numbers, but being being a statistician, I'm perfectly happy making wild estimates. Anyway, I think somewhere we have over this period of time, somewhere between 25 and 30,000 students that have enrolled in these courses. So I think that's pretty impressive. And of course, so a lot of this, as I said, we have some fairly large courses. We have a few people, I know I'll leave somebody off, I shouldn't, but we do have some people that teach for us regularly. Some not every year, but have been done for a number of years. People like Ben Kiefer, which teaches for us every 2 years when elections come up, who of course is a great teacher. Miriam, people like in art, like Lauren Lessing and Joni Kinsey, who are just both fabulous teachers. Chris Okichi, any of you who have taken those theater courses, he is amazing. And Tim Hankowitz of the Orchestra Iowa, who is, I've always thought, to me, he is the most unlikely looking and behaving maestro I have ever seen in my life. But is also, again, a wonderfully engaging teacher. And Anna Barker, who teaches especially a lot of stuff associated with Russian literature, who might be the most enthusiastic instructor I've ever known in my life. So anyhow, there's now here's the current senior college committee, and I thought you ought to see this. And again, if you have interest in courses you'd like to have taught, or instructors that you know of that are really good teachers that you think that maybe we could talk them into teaching something for us, contact one of those people. Not me, but contact one of those people. Because I'm sure that there are many people there that you know. And again, now, since that initial program, you can sort of see, I think, sort of, if you know these people, how sort of diversified our committee is. And we really work at that to try to make it as diverse as possible, to get people from all over campus. Again, as I indicated, we still work very hard to have roughly half retired faculty and half retired staff people. And by the way, one of the rules we have, I don't know if it's written, how carefully it's written down, but the committee has to be someone who's retired from the University of Iowa. So if I look at that, there's Emil, who actually is, as I said, our sort of first non-Oatnell chair of the committee, who is director of admissions, who is an incredible person, really is, who's one really sharp guy. Warren Bow in business, Gail Bray, who actually worked with me in a testing program, Holly Carver, who was director of the Iowa Press, Kelly Don, the College of Public Health, Les Ann Fiedler, who was she was I had it down there if I can find it. Okay, she was the director of publication for the College of Business, who also I think is handles all of the publications for the University of Iowa Retirees Association. Is a really talented person. Tom Rockland, who actually at one time was a colleague of mine, but then became a vice president, which I have questioned the wisdom of that time, but he's actually ended up being a wonderful director for student services here at the university. He's got a different title, but that's sort of what it was. George Johnson, who's sort of a computer guy, who actually is a PhD, but in pathology, and Frank Nitros, who's actually a doctor in pathology. And then Mary New, who actually retired from the president's office, I believe. Pam Willard, who's a nurse, who was in nursing. And then Nancy Williams, who I think also was in the provost's office. So we sort of tried to sort of represent the entire community, and really worked pretty hard at trying to do and doing that. Now, here's some of the stuff that we have to deal with. Those on the committee. Now remember, this kid, we're totally voluntary. Nobody gets paid anything. But I'll have to say that in my case, I know that nearly everyone in the committee feels this way. This is really a fulfilling job, whether we're paid for it or not. But this is the single most important thing we do, is really obtaining instructors and vetting them, people who want to teach. By the way, one of the reasons we finally raised the pay from $500, well, slowly, but it's $1,000. And we've come up, because by the way, people work hard for this. 8 hours of instruction, $1,000 is not very much for the kind of preparation these people have to do. But the committee argues about this. Well, should we pay them wanting to teach for the wrong reasons, which is money, and that's sort of not what we want to have happen. And as I said, once we get some of these really high-powered people on campus teaching for us, we don't have much problem if we want them to teach again to get them to do it, because they enjoy it. And so anyway, then of course the other stuff is we have people, and actually we got on that committee there were 3 incredible editors, and then someone that helps schedule classes and preparing this publication. They spend a lot of time on that publication, on the PDF. Everybody that's an instructor, they have to describe what they're going to do in 100 words. And many of them get a lot of help from these editors to make sure that people can, in that time, because you don't want people having to read this much to take a course, but then trying to describe it carefully. You really need good editors. And and scheduling classes, and that again is something, see, last semester we had 2 hybrid classes. I was involved in one of those. We would like to have more, and I'll probably talk more about it later, but they're a pain in the butt to deal with. It seems like they shouldn't be, but they are. And they have the real advantage, of course, of solving sort of our room and parking problems, because then anybody who doesn't want to come on campus or somewhere, or go somewhere, or get out, can then, take them by Zoom. But it's just something that we're working through, and I think probably will solve. But most of the venues where we have those classes aren't really very well suited for it. The ones that really are best suited is on campus. And then, as you can see, in-person classes on campus is where probably the biggest single complaint we've always gotten is parking. It's by far the biggest. Nothing else even gets close. And of course, when we have Zoom classes, that totally goes away. But again, there are reasons that if we have a hybrid class, then there are a lot of nice rooms on campus that are set up well for Zoom that hold 60 or 70 students. And that would be plenty for a hybrid class, because people that really wanted to come on campus and do it could do that. But it's also getting harder. For some reason, we're having more trouble now scheduling rooms on campus when we do have them on campus. I don't know. I think that, again, that maybe is just people change and over time, and I know people like Nancy Williams, who helps do that, I know had good contacts various places, and they then sort of you lose those, and then it becomes more difficult sometimes, because obviously when we schedule classes, we have to follow, we're last in line, which is fine. I mean, I understand that. It should be the case. And then we do run into real problems because of getting our schedule done, and then at a time where they're scheduling for the next semester. And we sometimes would have like maybe a week there where we could actually schedule classes and still then be ready to publish where those were going to be. So anyway, scheduling those places, how appropriate they are, and also now we have been paying, for years we weren't paying for anything. That's when we had them all on campus. At least the university gave us those classrooms because they were sitting empty at those times. But to get places off campus that have good parking and are large, well, like Parkview, which we paid, but their charges were really minimal. We now have a number of classes in the Choral Voice Center for the Performing Arts, and a number of our in-person classes, and we limit those. We're limiting those to 175 people. Because that place holds, I think, 700, and it's got a balcony. So even though they're just in person, people who worry about COVID, for example, can get pretty much isolated if they want to go up in the balcony and things. And so, but that actually, then those are relatively expensive, and so we for those courses to pay off, we do sort of need to get some pretty substantial enrollments. And the other thing is that auditorium at the moment isn't really still very set up very good for hybrid situations. The smaller rooms next door in the library are better, but they're not perfect by any means. And again, they're not, but in these years that we've had to do this now, we've gotten better and better at it in terms of handling the courses. But by the way, for Zoom classes though, these are issues that don't seem to go away. People getting into the class, they don't save the link when it's sent out, or they don't see it. Various things, and so the first day of class, we frequently have, 2 or 3, 4 people who send emails or call or something, and I can't get in, and inevitably, I think that we can. We're trying better, I think, and I think all of us who are in charge of these are trying to do a better job than on the day of the class sending links, which solves most of those problems. Here are 2 things that drive us nuts. When you have someone that's, we say over and over again, when you come on, mute your audio and turn off the video. But I'll guarantee you, any of you who've taken senior high class, all at once, whoever's the teacher is rolling along, doing fine, and all at once, somebody's dog starts barking or something else. Somebody then what happens if you speak at the wrong time? Then your face picture will come up here, or your face, if you didn't turn your video off, interrupting the teacher. So for those of you here, take those courses. Now I know we're at the age where we tend to forget these things, but please do your best to do those 2 things. Okay, just when you and by the way, the thing is, when we register those courses, we have it all turned off. So the only way that this can happen is if the person then goes to the trouble to turn their audio on or video, and so then you're just pulling your hair out. and I hate to say this, but we have many of the people who do this are repeat offenders. And I do think that we have done a pretty good job now of handling chat on the Zoom classes, and that really works pretty well. And I think also a lot of that is because the instructors that we have, who are good instructors, have fairly quickly figured out how to handle it more than anything. It's really mainly the instructor's responsibility. Now, those of us who are in charge of the course, sort of, then monitor the chat and try to help the instructor with this, because they can't be reading all that stuff all the time. But that's something that we have to deal with. But I think it works pretty well. And as I said, hybrid classes, what are the issues? Well, all above are issues with hybrid classes. And the other one that does come up with hybrid down there, and I'm sorry this is too long going down the bottom here, is when you have a hybrid class and people in the class ask questions or make comments or stuff, then the people who are on Zoom can't hear it. And those of us who are instructors, and I know I'd be the worst ever, have to be continually reminded to repeat questions. And we still don't succeed at it all that well. So that's one of the it's sort of irritating more than anything problem with hybrid classes. Okay, here's the schedule. Now I know many of you have seen this schedule. If you got your email today and opened it and looked at it, to go to the list, to the PDF of the course schedule. The first two are theater courses. Both of them, these are very different courses though. One of them, and I don't know anything about theater, but many people I do know, I think this first one is well known to theater people, about a group of touring people that went around the country in 1896 and performed and had a big impact on theater. Then Chris Okishi, who again, as I said, is an incredible instructor. Chris, this is actually going to be primarily about Broadway musicals, and all involved. One here, a little different there in art, is the global art market. By the way, I think many of you know I collect old maps. That actually is one part of this, which many of us who collect old maps view them as art in many ways. And that's one of the most common things that are getting ripped off. And some of them are incredibly valuable. So those, but then also, next one, Diego Lazansky. I mean, if you, I don't know if all of you know of who he is, you probably recognize the name, but it's the grandson of Mauricio Lazansky, who of course is incredibly famous. And I am not sure, but at his age, I think he may end up being the most famous of the Lazanskys. He is incredibly talented young guy.
He's having exhibit at
What?
CRR.
What?
He has had a full exhibit at CRR.
Right. Yeah. No, he's an amazing, nice guy, and he's going to teach down again. This is one that it only lasts 2 weeks, so it's 4 hours of instruction, and it's one week it's going to be at the Museum of Art, and the next week is going to be in his studio downtown. And but for a number of reasons, the reasons we're having it in those two sections that way is each of those will only have 15 people in And so if it's one that you are interested in, and I would encourage you not to sign up for both of them, because they're going to be identical. Well, more or less. He plans on to be the same thing, because that would keep other people from getting in them, and I think that these are going to fill up. Because a lot of people, I think, in Iowa City already know how talented this guy is. And then somebody, John Prine, is obviously many people were, I know lots of people were thrilled about this. For years, and I've been the person who's been trying to do this, trying to talk Ed Folsom into teaching for us. And, he might be the #1 Walt Whitman scholar in the United States. And he has finally got the stage in his life where he's willing to do this. And here's one, agricultural medicine, Kelly Donham, who's a retired member from the College of Public Health, and that's sort of been his career, dealing with agriculture medicine. He actually taught a course a few years ago on what, zoonoses, is that how you pronounce it? Animal diseases that people get from animals, right?
Oh, he's a vet. Yeah.
What?
He's a vet too.
He is a vet, yeah. So Kelly is teaching that, obviously Miriam and Shakespeare, and that also will be next summer's play. And then another very different agricultural issue here, and I think this really should be interesting. What's happened to the land in Iowa, and
Who is Bill Hamilton?
I don't have it here in front of me. He's the instructor's all I. If his bio's in the thing, and I don't have them with me. Clinical anatomy. Carol Scott Connor, who is one of these people who actually has taught for us now, I think this is at least the third time, who is very hesitant at the beginning about doing it, and then is one of those people that, gee, I really like doing this, and she's really good. And then this is a new one on the brain, and then I think many of you probably know Ed Kotick, who has taught for us and is a neat guy. And so anyway, and down at the bottom, 6 of these are in person, 5 are Zoom, and 1 will be a hybrid course. So this is sort of dividing them up here. And in the future, we got all kinds of, this is sort of the stuff we try to cover. Yes, that's my favorite, actually, the beer one. Well, last time, yeah, I'd love to help. But anyway, we had a course last semester on wine. It was at a winery, and was really, people really liked it, and really went over well. And we think that next year, not in the spring obviously, but later, either next fall or the following spring, this is going to be a course by one of the local people who is a brewer, and in fact will be held at the Big Grove. So it's going to be there at Big Grove Brewery, and if we have it. Now, none of these are exactly promised, but obviously we'll probably have Orchestra Live again, the International Writers, Center for the Book, which we couldn't have, would have to be in person, and more, of course, on theater. I think in the next year and a half, both probably Lauren and Lauren Lessing and Joni Kinsey both will maybe teach art courses, and they're obviously ones that I know a lot of people really like. So this is just sort of a overview of the kind of thing that we are working to get, and we actually have probably at least 12 courses already scheduled for the following fall. But I don't know, I can't tell you, it's not fixed in stone. One other thing that we did, give me 10 minutes here for some questions. One other thing that we're doing is we've started working with the University Lecture Committee, the senior college has. And we co-sponsored both Noam Chomsky and Bill Nye when they were here at the university lectures, and in fact had special sessions for people who that year had registered for our courses. And we will plan on keeping on doing that. Now, it'll be sort of sporadic because there's lots of stuff that the University Lecture Series carries that probably many of us won't be that excited about, current rock stars or something. But anyway, that's pretty much it. Now I've got 10 minutes. I'll try to answer anything. Anybody? Yeah.
How about our sister institutions, ISU and UNI? Do they have similar programs, and do you work with them?
Well,
Repeat the question.
okay. Good question. Do our sister programs at Iowa State and UNI have similar programs? Iowa State has Osher, correct? And I don't know, does Drake have an Osher? Osher is we had Osher here in Iowa City for a while. And Osher is these are courses that a guy named Osher, I think, what was it, $1 million? So he gave some really significant amount of money to universities all over the U.S. to start essentially senior college kinds of courses, courses for people, retired people. The emphasis was quite different than our courses. There was an effort to get the two to join together, which I'll be honest, those of us on the senior college committee didn't want to do. And I'm not going to go into there are plenty of reasons, but a lot of it is we have stayed very much in these academic level courses, tried to keep it at that. Also, the price that we have, $30. By the way, courses like this at universities all over the country, they cost in the hundreds of dollars for seniors. So we've kept it at $30 forever, and have no reason to change it because we're paying our bills. And so it was just thought at the time that it just wouldn't be a good fit for, anyway, those up on the senior college committee felt that way. And so it didn't happen. And the other problem that I think Osher has is the fact that it pays people to run the program. And that ends up eating up a lot of your money right there. So, but it's been very successful around the United States. And by the way, it would have been fine with I think it was fine with all of us to still have it here in Iowa City to run the committee. We just didn't want to intermingle the two. And it went away then, yeah.
I'm curious how many people here have enrolled in a senior college class.
I don't know how many people in here have enrolled in senior college classes. Well, that's a good share of you. And I would hope it's more. And but anyway, that other questions. Anything else? Yeah.
Yeah, I hear on the radio from time to time an announcement about Ollie. Is that the one you were talking about? It's in Iowa State, they call it Ollie.
I think it
What
is.
was the sense for the name of
Yeah.
the person who funded it?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I think it is the same.
Read the question.
Oh, is Ollie the same as Osher?
No,
Huh?
no,
What is Ollie then?
it's a Iowa State program that's been in forever.
It's been there forever.
They were long before we were.
Oh, it's because of. Thank you.
And I think also Drake now
Has
has
it?
connected with it.
Thanks. Because well, it's like I don't know if they wouldn't be like continuing education courses, but and I don't know anything about it is the problem. Okay, obviously. Yeah.
I'm going to encourage people to use Oak Mill Transportation if a group of people want to go. Don't let parking be a deterrent.
Right.
With planning,
Yeah.
historically, we have used Oak Mill Transportation.
Yeah, that's right. No, that's good. And even with parking, it still probably is better to hop on the bus, not have to drive out. Well, especially I don't know if enough people would sign up like for the piano course, which is down, of course they're in Voxman. However, of course there are 3 parking ramps within a block. But others,
Are you going to tell people how Oak Knoll made it into the math class?
made it into the map
Or
class.
the geography class, your map collection?
What? How Oak Knoll?
In your class, you taught a wonderful class
Yeah.
on the history of maps.
Yeah.
And you featured your closing comment was to show them the Oak Knoll map. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
There's another Oak Knoll connection.
That's right. Well, the reason is those maps. By the way, I think those are incredible maps. The only problem is this is one hell of a hard place to find your way around, and you need good maps. But the problem also is you do have to have some map reading skills. And that, I think those are getting in shorter supply as we get older. So, anything else? Anybody else I can insult? Okay. Okay. Well, thank you all very much.